we are live here. We are live, Toya. We are live on Table Talk. I hope you guys are meeting us at the table today. And it's going to be great. I'm looking so forward to sharing with you my friend, my sister, Toya Poplar, and talking about her new book, talking about family, talking about faith. Guys, she is an amazing writer. I mean, as I was reading her book, if you could see my copy, I've got pages flipped back where I got to go back and highlight. I mean, she has a gift for writing. It was just so evident. I mean, words just flow out of her mouth. And so I'm so excited to have her here with me today. You know, on Table Talk, I've been doing this. This is my second year. And on Table Talk, we talk about business strategy. We talk about family. We talk about faith. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about walking in the giftings and the call that God has given you. And tonight is no different. And so welcome, 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 Toya.
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you, Yolanda.
I want to start off, Toya, and just have you introduce yourself. Just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
My name is Toya Poplar, as Yolanda said, and I am a mom of 6. I am a public speaker. I'm a poet. I like to call myself a paradigm shifter.
Yes.
And most importantly, I am in love with the lover of my soul, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm a photographer, and I'm a lover of words and a lover of God's word.
Great, great. You know, when I saw your book was released and I went to order it, you guys have to order this. She works with a lot of creatives, and she's going to share tonight about a group that her and her husband do once a month with creatives, really just working with them to really release those things that God has given them. So she'll share a little bit about that with us tonight. First, Toya, we're just going to have a conversation. And so I was thinking about I've known you for a while, and I was thinking about when I first met you. I want to share with you the first time I met you and see if you remember it.
Okay.
I met you at church, but then you had an event at your house or a clubhouse, and I saw all these beautiful women coming together just to connect and hang out together and love on one another. And then I knew who you were. Mm-hmm. You were not just a lover of words, you were a lover of people. And you knew how to love on people. Talk to me about when you hear the word sisterhood, what does that mean to you when you hear that?
When I hear the word sisterhood, I think of safety. I think of a place where people are celebrated and not tolerated. Mm-hmm. I think of transparency. And most importantly, I think of love being everyone's highest aim.
That's good, Toya. That's good. Because I think a lot of times what happens is that we sometimes are in competition with one another. And I just believe there's enough work for everyone out there. God has given each of us a gift, that there's sometimes a particular person that we're going to work with. And a lot of times when I get people and I know that they are supposed to be working with someone else, I kind of hand them over to that other person. I think we need to be doing more of that.
Mm-hmm.
My next question for you, it's going to be about your book. What made you write this book? Stop right there. And also, how did you come up with the name? How did you come? I love this. I love it.
Well, thank you. I definitely felt like, I think when my husband and I, we have 3 biological children, 3 adoptive children. And when we adopted our boys, our lives became so complex. And the more complex my life became, the more I had to be very strategic about simplifying life. Mm-hmm. It was a childhood dream to write a book. And my husband, who is amazing, just let me go away, because we all kind of took one for the team when we adopted. It was such a huge undertaking. And I think my book is God's way of taking me from overwhelmed to overjoyed. And so I went away for a week, and I took more journals than I did clothes, because I knew that it was just time. And so I feel like I was more so a seamstress that just went to sew together the pages of my heart over the last 10 years of my life, as opposed to a writer. I always felt like there was a book on the inside of me, but I think that being so immersed in mommyhood, I needed to feel like I was more than just a mom, which I don't diminish the ministry of the mundane at all, because being a mom is one of the greatest mission fields I've ever known. But in terms of why did I write my book, it was because the enemy had silenced me with lies for so long that I pretty much took every lie that he used to silence me, and I took scripture and poetry to refute those lies. And my prayer was that upon completion of people reading my book, that it would be the beginning of them writing their own. So it was really my way of kind of paying it forward and allowing people to see how sometimes our process is our destination. So I just invited other people into my process.
Say that again. You have to say that again.
That our process is our destination. Like for me, the process of me writing my book was so fulfilling that honestly, Yolanda, I didn't think beyond. I didn't think of the interviews. I didn't think of the speaking engagements. I just thought there is something on the inside of me that I want to get out so that I can serve my generation for my time. I wanted to leave a legacy in the earth that would somehow minister to my children's children and help them understand that their creative souls was not a curse and that it was a gift from God. And so I think that I really just, it was just time. It was time. And even the fact that it's an interactive journal, I just kind of took the components of what I love. There are short devotionals that I can read that are punchy, and I can apply them to my life immediately. So I wanted it to be a little bit of me and a whole lot of the reader. A little bit of me and a whole lot of, I think that sometimes, as opposed to a blank canvas, which can be stressful, it can be overwhelming to paint on. If you have a prompter, if you have a parameter, it places a demand on what's already on the inside of you. So I wanted people to experience that.
That is what I loved about it, is the places where you had us pause and say, what about this? What time of your journey that you were dealing with this? How would you, and you gave like a starting point, and like a lot of times in journals, you have a blank page, and you're thinking, what do I write on here today? And you kind of prompted the reader to give them a place to start, which I really love. One of the things that you talked about is that you wrote the book because you felt like your voice was being silenced. What chapter do you believe you got to that you felt like your voice was released?
Honestly, the intro.
That's good.
I think that the intro is so comprehensive that, and it's amazing because the intro was the last thing that I incorporated into my book. Even though it's at the beginning of the book, it was a writing that I had written as a Facebook post. Actually, it was just the overflow of my heart. And I received such a response from friends and family that read it. People would privately inbox me and just tell me their dreams and their visions. And so I knew that there was something special about the intro, but just, I guess, reminding people that they were created to create. And it was like the mandate. It was like the charge for the entire book. And so I feel like my voice is heard in the intro, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you close on a house, it's called the close, but it's really the beginning. Exactly. And so I wrote my beginning at my close, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So tell me a little bit about, what was your process with coming up with your name of your book? Did you have several names, and this one came first? What was that process like?
Well, that is a wonderful story. And my friend would get me if she knew that I was about to divulge this, because she told me one time, you don't have to tell people that, but that's what humility looks like. I have a cherished friend and sister in the Lord who I had a name for my book, and she mentioned that she desired to do Stop Right There workshops. And I said, sis, that is a better name for my book than the name of my book. And honestly, Yolanda, I don't even remember the initial name of my book because it was such a great fit. And this tells you how selfless she is. It's actually my friend who wrote the book, The Millennial Movement, that I told you about. So her name is Rashida Solis Wilson, and she's amazing. But I got off the phone with her after her telling me about these workshops that she desired to do. And I sat there and I thought, Lord, this is crazy, because I'm about to ask this girl if I can have that title. And I called her back, and she's such a giver. She lives to give. And I said, sis, I can't get away from the name that you gave me. It's a better fit for my book than what I have for my book. And she said, it's yours. I want you to use it. I want you to be blessed. And that was the most selfless act that I've ever known, because oftentimes creative people and people who share similar giftings, that is one of the greatest fears of being a creative, is that you're afraid that someone else is going to steal your idea. So what that brought me to, Yolanda, was there's a scripture that says, to he who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But to he who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And I just thought, if your confidence is in Christ, then you can freely give something, understanding that it is a principle that you will reap what you've sown. And so she and I have just been iron that has sharpened iron, and I am eternally grateful for the gift of her sisterhood, because that was just such a noble thing for somebody to release something so freely and it be such a perfect fit for the book that God had given me. So thank you for asking. I love being able to tell that story, because it didn't stop there. She didn't just give me the name of my book. She has gone to speak at events, and she has taken copies of my book to sell, just in her efforts to promote sisterhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so important. That is so important. Oh my God. She will be blessed beyond. I mean,
Yes.
she did it because she knew that it was the right thing to do, and she wanted to support what you were doing.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that I have seen is that, and you even shared in your book about people not wanting to share or release something because they think someone's going to take it. And creatives and business people, we're the worst with that. And we can hold on to an idea, and it's 10 years later, and it's like, there's nothing going to happen if you don't share it. You don't know who else is supposed to come along beside you and walk with you in that.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've seen is that when sisters come together and when people come together and join together with an initiative, win together. And when we really gonna see each other soar, when you do well, it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna do well.
Yes. Yes.
It means we're both gonna do well. And however I can support you to make that happen, then I should. I can't reach everybody. I remember sitting in a business meeting, and I came up with an idea, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go do that. It was like, oh, I'm thinking God done dropped this new idea. And actually in the middle of the meeting, I said, that's not for me, it's for the people I'm meeting with.
Wow.
So we understand when God gives us something, sometimes it's for us to pass it along, it's not for us to keep.
Yes, yes. And I think that even in being, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just that's what being a spiritual midwife looks like, is that you help someone else birth their baby, and you know that that thing will be a gift that keeps on giving. And I think that many hands make light work. I don't know if I would have made the progress or seen the success that I've seen thus far if it weren't for me incorporating others into my creative process. And we've all gone through creative crises where we're just stuck. But what I've found is that if you invite other people into your creative process, it becomes a form of accountability that that really motivates you to finish well, because you know you got this great cloud of witnesses cheering you on, you know? And so before I released Stop Right There, I did a Stop Right There workshop kind of as an incentive and a motivation for me to finish. And my sisters who came, we just went away to a lake house and we just had a time like almost like a silent retreat. And one of my sisters wrote 3 chapters of her book at that retreat. And that made me feel so good that something I did kind of as a motivator for me to finish was a beginning for someone else. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna get mine and I hope you get yours, or never to be a competition, but a collaboration. And so I'm so thankful that I really feel like in the same way it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to write a book.
Yes. I definitely had that. My first book, Letters to Our Sons, it took me 3 years.
Wow.
Probably into that 3rd year, a friend of mine that's written tons of books, 10, 12, I don't even know the number yet. Fumi Hancock, one of my great friends, she called me. She's like, I need you to finish that book, because you're going to be mad when you walk into a bookstore and you see your book on the shelf and someone else has written it. God says, if you don't do it, he'll find somebody to do it. I was like, what? Oh my God. And in 2 months, it was done.
Wow. Wow.
And I put myself on a schedule. I had a meeting with myself every morning. I had a meeting with myself at night until I finished it. So having that community and that village around you to encourage and support you through that process is very critical. We were not born to walk life alone.
Right.
It's building your business, whether it's writing a book, or whether it's raising your family. God intends for us to do that in community. So that is so important. Can you hold her book up? I know you shared it with me earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really salute her and share the work that she's doing as well.
There you go. It's called the Millennial Movement, and it is surviving the corporate transition. It's kind of from the classroom to the boardroom, so it's great for millennials, and it just offers amazing insight. She's a dynamic person. Again, her name is Rashida Wilson, and she is phenomenal.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. So next, I want to move to talking about the work that you have been doing with creatives. And there's a lot of creatives, and then explain to our audience what you mean by creatives when you start sharing. But I want you to share about the work, because you've been doing that a long time. I remember even having poetry nights, and you and your husband doing some things with different artists. So talk to me a little bit about the work that you're doing with creatives.
Okay. Well, my husband is a gospel rapper, as you know, proverbalist. And one of his ways of kind of paying it forward is he came up with a concept called Rhymers for the Lord, and founded it with another gospel rapper and a Christian DJ. And their desire was to see artists keep the Lord first and the primary focus of gospel rap. And they wanted them to have a safe place in which they could sharpen one another and cultivate creativity. So we meet every final Thursday of the month. It's the last Thursday of each month. And for years, it was just gospel rappers. And I begged him to open it up to poets. So I said, hey, please open it up to poets. And he did. And the Father has just really honored our heart. My best way of describing Rhymers for the Lord, excuse me, is that it's like a Christ-centered Toastmasters in terms of public speaking, because a lot of artists, unfortunately, they don't have a place to really practice their craft. And imagine if the only time you spoke was when you were invited to be the keynote speaker.
Yes.
So for them to be able to sharpen one another, to give creative feedback and insight and encouragement, it's just been a safe place for people to grow and flourish in their gifts. And we're so thankful for DJ Sam Smite. He was a turntablist who is a national DJ, Christian DJ. And no matter where he is on the planet, he makes sure that he's back here for Rhymers for the Lord each month. He's so faithful to it. He's extremely humble. But one of the people who come, a friend of ours, she described Rhymers for the Lord as like an underground railroad. She said, this is the only place that I know where kids ages 5 to, grandparents can come and fellowship and it be safe and edifying for the whole family. So we were honored that she would pay us such a compliment, and we never really thought about it like that. But it is the essence of just good, clean fun.
Yes, that is great. How long have you guys been doing that again?
We have been doing it now. I think we were founded in 2008 or 2005.
Wow.
I'm not quite sure, but my husband gives a ROM assignment each month. So this month, our topic is procrastination. And so that's something that plagues a lot of creatives, and we're going to talk about it. And it's just amazing to see how God produces like a lyrical sermon to where every voice is heard and every joint supplies something so vital, and we walk away just uplifted and inspired, because where else do you go where you get to share with other people who love words just as much as you do?
Great. That is great. I'm so excited about the work that you guys have been doing for years. And one of the things I want to ask you is that what has been the struggle that you've seen with creatives? What is the one thing, and it may be many, but one thing that sticks out to you that a lot of creatives struggle with? And I know you shared some of it in your book.
I would say a lot of creatives struggle with finishing. A lot of creatives struggle with finishing, or maybe even finishing well. Sometimes we'll be so fixated on finishing that we will rush through our process. And for example, in my process of writing Stop Right There, I had a different book cover, and it just was not a good fit for my book. And I knew that one of the motivating factors for me purchasing a journal is it has to be cute. If my journal's not cute, I'm not going to carry it with me, you know. And so I thought I really need my book to not just be cute, because I don't want it to just appeal to women, but I wanted to have I just wanted to have longevity. And so there was a young man who was an exchange student that we had the pleasure of getting to know when we hosted some exchange students from Central America. And I would see his work on Instagram and Facebook, and I thought, here I am paying artists and outsourcing this artwork, and I had completely paid for the cover and everything, but it just wasn't me. So I reached out to Danny, and I said, Danny, would you be willing to design a book cover for me? And Yolanda, all I kept thinking was, he's gifted. He is gifted. And if this book could be a catalyst to catapult his career, then to God be the glory. And he was so honored. He was such a pleasure to work with. And with technology, it didn't matter that he was in El Salvador and I was in Huntsville, Alabama, you know? So it was just awesome to know that that was a blessing to Danny, and he was most definitely a blessing to me. But I think that thinking someone is going to steal your idea can just paralyze you. And if God was faithful to get an ideal to you, the least we can do is to be faithful to get that through us and to the people that he wants to bless with it. So really, I think a major struggle is finishing well. I won't just say finishing, but finishing well. And I'm sure you encounter people all the time who say, child, I started a book and I need your help. And you're like, you got to have a want to, because if you want to finish, you will, but you can't finish it for them. So that's why I desire to encourage people to finish and finish well.
That is so good. Yeah, we see that a lot, even with people that want to start a business. They have an idea, but there's some work that we have to do. And so a lot of times people are not ready to do the work.
Yes.
And so sometimes I have to back them up and say, these are some things you need to go do first before you even ready.
Yes.
To start a business.
Yes.
To launch out and write a book or whatever the thing may be. So I see that a lot as well. What chapter was the hardest for you to write in the book?
The hardest for me to write. Let me look at my table of contents real quick. I would say, I want to see if it even made the cut. I think it was Our Daily Bread, which is Daily Bread, which is chapter 30. Towards the end. And I think there was so much I wanted to say, and my book had been very concise up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the most difficult the most difficult chapter for me to write on. And I think it's because I was just so passionate about it. But that was the only one I felt like I really labored over.
Uh-huh.
And you would think that the one that I labored over would be the one that I'm like, yes, that's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's just near and dear to my heart because I remember the birthing pains in that particular chapter.
Yes. Can you tell me um, who who inspires you as a writer? Do you have a particular person that inspires you?
On a consistent basis, or just kind of sparked my love for words to begin with?
Either.
Okay. When I was a kid, both my parents were wordsmiths,
Mm.
and my mom put a copy of Dr. Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings in my hand.
Mhm.
And her poetry really ignited my passion for understanding that this kind of sing-songy way that I would write in my journal really had some substance and
Yeah.
could be something more than just fun. And I had the pleasure of seeing Dr. Angelo speak years ago, and I remember there were about maybe 2,000 people in the room, and you could hear crickets chirp.
Wow.
Everyone clung to the words that she spoke. That
Mhm.
did something for me. So I would say that that was definitely one of my influences. But my father and my mother both were poets, and there's just something about the power of the spoken word or
Mhm.
the written word that has always resonated deeply within me. My father passed away when I was 7, and one of the things that I hold fast to is a poem that he wrote to his children. And anyhow, I would say that my father, he was a pastor, and he was a teacher. He was a Baptist pastor, but when most were inclined to preach and to hoop and to really,
Uh-huh.
he was a teacher. And there was something profound about him teaching in a way that every age group could receive
Mhm.
and understand. And my love for vocabulary came from my father. He would use words like reconciliation. And
Mm.
I remember I'd think, oh my goodness, I like the way that sounded coming off his tongue. I got to know what that means.
Yeah.
And so reluctant was a word, or seldom. And it's funny because seldom is a word that I seldom hear, but when I hear it, I associate it with my father. So my father definitely inspired me.
Great. Great. Who when you think back over your life, um, what would you say to your younger self today?
I would say dream big dreams and then dream again, and
Mm.
expect the Father to outdream the dreams that you've dreamed for yourself. I feel like so many of the dreams that I had as a child they've manifested, they've materialized, and now I'm in a slight dilemma to where I feel like I have to dream new dreams.
Mm.
And so I wish I would have dreamed more, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think as adults we need to do that more. Go back to even our childhood. What things you love that you let go of because of busyness. And so as
Hmm.
we begin to wrap this conversation up, one of the things that I hear a lot is that people say, I don't have time. I have my kids. I have work. I have this and I have that. I have ministry. I have my business and I can't get this done. Talk to me about, I mean, you have how many kids? Like
6.
six
Yes.
kids. You're doing your writing, you're doing your speaking, and you're a mom and you're a wife. Talk to those that are watching. How are you balancing all of that?
Well, I think that creativity is kind of under attack in our culture, and people tend to associate creativity and rest with laziness. But creativity and rest are the things that empower you to be more productive. And like I said before, the more complex my life became, the more crucial it became that I create, because when I'm not creating as a creative person, I feel like parts of me are dying. And the only thing that makes me come alive is to create. And that's in essence why we were placed on this planet. We were made in the image of God, and He is our creator, and we were created to create. So I just believe that in terms of people make time and money for that which they deem is important. And if it's important to you, you'll do it, and you'll do it by any means necessary. I'm a part of an amazing writers group called Write Out, and there are some incredible writers in that group, and we ask one another assessment questions. And one of the questions was, what is your creative space? Where do you create? And if you saw the layout of my house, you would probably pick the area that you would think that I would create. And you can imagine me there with a candle and a cup of tea. And it's my bathroom. I go to my bathroom and I turn on the fan and I shut out the world. And that seems like the least likely place in my home. But it is my safe place. It's my thinking spot. And I think that that's the one place as a mom of 6 where I can be by myself and it be fully justified.
Exactly. That is good. Moms, did you hear that? The bathroom is the safe space. Sometimes you can see little fingers coming up over the door.
Yes.
Knocking on the door, but sometimes that can be, but find your place in your home that you can take that time to get those things done that you know you were born to do, because when you don't, I agree with you, Toya, you feel like you're not living. You feel like you're behind the game. So whatever you know that God has called you to do in this season, put your hands to it. Get around community that'll walk with you in that. And if you begin to share those things with people, then you'll get your community. But if you hold it in, then you're going to be the only one that knows about it, and nobody's going to know that you need help. So Toya, that was so great. One of the things I want you to leave us with is, how can people get your book?
Okay.
And also, if you would read one of your pieces that's in your book, I love to hear you kind of do your poetry. So I want you to
thank you.
Get that, but tell them how they can you for speaking engagements and to come to do your workshop for them, and anything else that you're working on that you want to share.
All right, thank you. Let me check my power supply, because I would hate for the enemy to have any glory. Let me get my power strip. 1 second, please. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So I hope everybody that's watching today has received something that you can take with you, that you can look at what you've been working on and say, okay, number one, what I can do is make a schedule for myself, make an appointment with my own self, and get my writing done. Step out and get people that are doing the things that I love to do. You know, there are several things that's been shared today that Toya has shared with us that you can use to be able to walk in what God has called you to walk in this season. So she's going to share with us how to get her book.
All right, I got the power.
She's got the power. So I'm going to Toya to share with us about her website, how you can get the book, how you can book her to come and speak, and for her to share one last thought with one of her poetry pieces with us before we end the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you can purchase my book. You can purchase my book, Stop Right There, WRITE, on Amazon.
Scoot over a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay.
On Amazon.com. My book is available on Amazon, and you can also visit my website, which is stoprighthere.com. And in terms of a piece from my book, there's a piece that I wrote entitled Silence Speaks. And let me see, I'll have a cheat sheet here just in case. It's from chapter 11 of my book, which is entitled Pleading the Fifth.
Pleading the Fifth. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And Yolanda, you let me know if I know by heart. I think I do. So let's do it.
Okay.
Today I sat with silence, and silence had something to say. If you don't spend more time with me, then you'll cast your confidence away. Is that right? Yes, that's right. When many words are present, regret is very near. Come close to me, my child, and incline your ears to hear. Always be slow to speak, and from many words refrain. Rest in my presence, and I will keep you from causing pain. I will grant you wisdom and help you number your days. Even fools are perceived as wise when they become familiar with my ways.
Mm.
I sat there in silence as silence spoke to me, and the truth spoken by silence silently set me free. Silence speaks.
Great. Thank you so much, Toya, for joining
Thank
us today on
you.
Table Talk. And I appreciate you taking time out. I know you're going on to your monthly last Thursday event with the creatives. So we're going to sign off now. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you received something that has encouraged you, inspired you, and motivated you to take that step to the next level. Walk in your creative, walk in those things that God has called you to do. I am looking forward to coming back next month. I have a special guest coming. She's an educator that has created this amazing reading program that you guys have to check out, and it needs to be in schools across the country. We want to make sure that that happens. So thank you guys for joining Table Talk today. We will talk to you soon. We'll meet you at the table next month. Have a great night. Bye-bye.